Hi everyone, it's Abul. Welcome back to CRTV, powered by City Realtor. In this video, I will be talking to you about property auctions, how they work, what you should be looking out for, and what is even the purpose of them. For people that don't know, a property auction is somewhere that you can go and bid for properties and buy them, much like any other auction. Only properties are generally worth a lot more, which means there is a lot more at stake. There is also the financial aspect, which can make it a little bit more complicated than your normal auction. Auctions can be a great place to pick up good deals, but you do need to know what you're doing. So if you're brand new to property buying, I wouldn't advise jumping into something like this, unless you're guided through it by a professional. Auctions are also a great place to understand where the property market is. When everything gets sold, it means the market is strong. And when there are a lot of unsold lots, it means that the confidence in the market is starting to slow down. I want to start off talking about the financials. How to fund, how to buy in an auction. Because your average property investor might have experience buying in the traditional market with a mortgage. However, it's not quite the same in an auction. In an auction, you have to be prepared to exchange on the spot. As soon as that gavel drops, it means that you've exchanged. And it means that you need to find the rest of the money very soon after. And that's not usually possible with a traditional mortgage. That's why in auctions, generally people are buying all cash or funding it through something called bridging finance. Bridging finance is a short-term loan designed to bridge the gap between a purchase date and when you can find the alternative lending. Maybe it's a traditional mortgage, or maybe you found the rest of the money in cash. Bridging finance does have a very fast approval rate, but it is usually very expensive, and there is a buy-in cost as well as an exit cost, as well as the interest rate is usually quite high. All in all, it's quite an expensive avenue. However, it enables you to buy in things like an auction. Now, let's talk about why properties might be selling in auction in the first place. I recently spoke to a solicitor about a property that I was interested on auction. However, there wasn't much time to go through everything for him to check the legal packs, etc. And he turned around and said to me, Abul, remember what we say in the property industry? If you have some SHIT to shift, put it up for auction. What he meant was there wasn't enough time to go through everything. There's usually a reason why a property is on auction, and it's usually because the seller wants a quick sale for some reason. However, at the same time, there are deals to be had. There was a former client of mine who we used to manage around 12 of his properties. One day he just decided to sell off the entire portfolio. We're still not exactly sure why. However, all of them went up for sale on auction last minute, and they all ended up selling for roughly 100 grand less than what it was worth. And the reason why it went for so low is because it was a last minute entry. People didn't have time to go through the legal packs, go and view it. Therefore, the ones that did end up buying, it was a big risk for them, but it did end up paying off. Okay, let's move on to the different ways you can buy from auction. And there's 3 different ways. The first is the traditional way of turning up to an auction house and bidding on a property live. This has also now transitioned into online auctions where you can bid on properties live, but online. The second way is to buy a property before it gets to auction. So properties are generally advertised before they get to the auction date, and you may be able to do a deal with the auctioneers beforehand. And the third way is to buy unsold properties from the auction. The properties that didn't sell, you can go to the auctioneers and try and make a deal afterwards as well. And those are usually good deals to be had. So auctioneers will generally advertise properties before they go up for sale on the auction date. People don't just turn up on the day to see what's up for sale. Only in rare occasions like my former client. In the old days, you'd have to register for a catalogue and they'll send it to your home and you look through the lots. And now everything's online, so you can find the online catalogue way before the auction date. So generally, you'd be looking through the online catalogue, look at the things that you like. You can reach out to the auctioneers and ask them to view it as well, which I would highly advise. Because many of the properties that are up for auction generally have a lot of work that needs to be done. And if you are able to visit the properties, you can go there and see what's wrong yourself. So that way it will give you a better idea of what your overall costs are going to be. Because what you want to do is be in a position where you roughly know how much your total expenditure is going to be before the auction date. And that way you'd be able to come to a figure that makes sense. Because like I said before, more often than not, there is a reason why the property is up in auction rather than the normal market. So the mindset that you should approach this with is, let me figure out what's wrong with this property beforehand, so I can factor in all the costs that will apply to this before I make my bids. And figure out what your last price, your highest bid is before you go to the auction house or start bidding. And when you figured out that last price or the highest bid, don't go a penny over, because If you can go a little bit over, you can go a lot over. The next thing you do is download the legal pack. You download this and have a solicitor look through it for you. You should probably speak to a solicitor beforehand and come to some sort of agreement with them, because you may have 2 or 3 lots that you're looking at from an auction, and come to some sort of price agreement where they can look through all the legal packs for you. So by having your solicitor going through all the legal packs, you'll be able to uncover any other nasty surprises that there might be. It could be things like there's a charge on the property, and this is when the seller may have taken a loan from somewhere and put it against the property, or there may be a major works bill looming, or things of that nature. Things to note is that properties are always advertised with a guide price, and it almost always will sell for more than that. That is just where the bids will start. However, there is also a reserve price that the property must reach, otherwise it won't even sell. And the reserve price is never revealed to the public, but it's generally 10% more than the guide. But that's not set in stone or anything. An interesting fact is auctioneers are actually allowed to take fake bids to take the lot up to the reserve price, but after that they are no longer allowed to do that. Now let's just say you've been to an auction, you've won a bid at £100,000. That is not all that you will be paying. You need to look out for some hidden costs. Firstly, check for VAT, as some commercial properties may be sold by a company who is VAT registered, which means they have to charge VAT on the sale of that property. Also, check if you have to pay towards the seller's legal fees. Sometimes it may be a distressed seller who has no money, so they may be selling it cheap, but they want you to cover all their costs. There is also a fee that the auction house takes, so factor that in, and you will also be liable to the normal stamp duty rules. So, along with all the reasons I've already given you, when you're trying to figure out your top bid, so your highest price, you need to also figure out what is the purpose of the purchase. Are you looking to buy and hold? Or are you looking to buy and flip? Are you looking to live there? Are you looking to rent it out? Because for me, and like many other buyers, if it's a flip, you would most likely have a much lower highest bid than you would if you were looking to live there or if you were looking to hold the property. Because if you're flipping the property, meaning if you're buying it and selling it on again, you need to make a profit out of that. So it means that you need to buy at a price where once you buy it and then you do all the work and all your costs and then you sell it, is there enough of a margin for you? However, if I was looking to live there, or if I was buying it and holding it and renting it out or whatever, as long as I was getting a slightly better deal than the normal market, I'd probably be okay to pay that. So to finish up, let's quickly run through the pros and the cons. The pros are that you can get a good deal and you can get property purchase wrapped up very quickly and not have to go through the tediousness of a normal sale. As for the cons, you don't always know what you're buying, so it is a risk. Arranging the funding can be hard, as you will either need to have the cash ready or utilize expensive short-term loans. There are extra fees that you may need to pay, like the auction house, and generally the properties do need a lot of work. Although I've mentioned quite a few cons, there's obviously a lot of good deals to be had. That's why many people still buy in auctions. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that one. Drop a like if you did, and drop a comment if you have any questions or if you disagree with anything I've said. And I'll see you in the next one.